Hey, second grade, welcome to Reading and Social Studies. Today is Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. So reading this week, all throughout the week, I'm going to say it's reading and social studies because we're reading about and talking about elections and voting, which is history in the making. When we are voting for things, history is changing. So that's why it also says social studies. So you just listened to a really fun read aloud called Grace for President. I know we listened to twice now Duck for President, which was a little bit different because this book, Grace for President, taught us more about how actual voting in the United States works. I know it was filled with a lot of information and some might have been confusing, but for the most part, I hope you were able to follow along with the story about how Grace and her classmate Thomas both ran for president at their school, and they what's called campaigned. They tried to convince the other students who were representing states to vote for them. So after listening to this book, what do you think the genre of the book is? Do you think this is a fiction or made up story? Or do you think it's nonfiction telling us facts and information? That's right. This is a fiction book. It's a made up story. But could this happen in real life? Could we have an election at school and vote for somebody to be president at the school? Yes, we actually have that with student council. So this is actually a realistic fiction story. So today I want to review this comprehension skill, this thing that we think about to help us understand the stories better. So we're going to talk about story elements. And this will probably sound familiar because we've gone over these before. So in story elements, we have characters. So who is in the story? Whether it's animals, people, or things. Like in this picture, there's an alien and a talking book. Story elements also includes the setting. And the setting isn't just where it takes place, but it's also when it takes place. And then we also have the plot, which is the beginning, middle, and end. We can also use words like first, next, and last. And we also know this as our sequence of events. Let's dig a little bit deeper into each part of these story elements. So for characters, we have main characters, which are the main people, animals, or things that are in the story. So in this case, think about who the main characters would be. Probably the students who are running for president. And then we have supporting characters. These are other characters that appear in the story, but maybe don't have as big of a role, like the other students. Okay, and just as a reminder, the sequence of events are the events in a story, or it says a play, that happen in a certain order. And these events are the plot of the story. And remember, the plot is the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So on the side over here, what's this B stand for? Beginning. The M, middle, and the E, end. So this is our plot. And when we think about the beginning of the story, we can think of the characters in the setting, because the characters in setting are often introduced they're told in the beginning. And then in the middle, we think about what actually is happening to the characters. Is there a problem that happens? And at the end, we can think, how did the characters solve the problem? And did the characters change at all? So let's now think about the characters, setting, and plot of Grace for President. So you can either have an adult print this paper off Parent Square and pause this video while you wait, or you can pause this video to draw this graphic organizer on lined paper or in your notebook. Either way works. It's whatever you prefer. So pause the video if needed. Unpause when you're ready. Okay, let's start with the characters. Who was in this story? And I say who because we didn't have any talking animals or objects. It was just people. So our main characters were Grace. And who ran against her for president? Thomas. And then we also had the teacher who's important, who helped run this election. And her name was Mrs. Barrington. Who else was in the story? Other students or other classmates. I know we heard some of their names in the story, but they are the supporting characters. So we can just list them on this graphic organizer as other students or other classmates. Okay, those are our characters. Remember, pause the video if you need. Okay, let's now think about the setting. Remember, the setting is not only where, but it's also when. So let's start with where. Where did this story take place? At a school. Okay. When did it take place? We didn't know the month or the day or the year, but we do know that it takes place during the school day. They're always at school in this story. So where? At a school. When? During the school day. Sometimes in books, there's multiple settings. It might change. They might go from place to place, or the day might change. But in this one, they're always at a school, and it's always during the school day. Next, let's look at the plot. So what happened during this, the sequence of events? Remember that the B stands for beginning, the M stands for the middle, and the E stands for the end. So what happened in the beginning? Well, Grace learns that no women have been President of the United States. And so her teacher decides to hold an election at school. You can put that into your own words to write down for beginning, or you can write it down how I write it. So Grace learns there hasn't been a woman president, so they decide to hold an election at school. Ooh, as I was reading that, I also noticed cause and effect. Do you guys see it? We have this clue word so that tells us that there's a cause and effect. Cause, Grace learns there hasn't been a woman president. Effect, they decide to hold an election at school. So what happens in the middle of the book? And then how does the book end? Go ahead and fill in the rest of this graphic organizer on your own. You can bring up the video again and listen to the read aloud again if you need reminders of what happened in the middle and the end. And then once you're done, you please turn in a picture of this on Seesaw. If you would like, you can turn your paper over on the back, or if you have space on the front, and draw a picture of your favorite part of this book. That is optional to draw the picture. All right, thanks second grade. We will read this again on Thursday and talk more about it then.